Good afternoon. One really important topic for law office management is charging the client for the work that we perform. And one important way to do that is with an hourly billing rate. And associated with that, of course, is the timekeeping obligations that work with that. So for this presentation, we're going to be going over some of those important topics. So if we're looking at an hourly billing rate, there are a variety of different ways we can charge our time on an hourly rate. The textbook provides four different examples that are identified here. We first have the attorney or paralegal hourly rate. So an office will have standard rates for each of the uh, professionals that work there that can bill their time directly to the client, which would be attorneys and paralegals. So one attorney bills at $200 an hour, the paralegal bills at $90 an hour. So each hour that they work for a particular client file, that's what the law firm would recover in terms of compensation. However, sometimes clients can negotiate with the law firm to get a slightly better rate. That would be the client hourly rate. So, in the example that I just gave, perhaps the client is able to negotiate a slightly better rate for the attorney who was $200 an hour, is now charging $150 an hour, and the paralegal would be billed at $70 an hour, as an example, for the lower client rate. Additionally, we can sometimes have what is called blended hourly rates. So think about the situation where we have two attorneys working on the same matter together. We have the managing partner who is ultimately responsible, billing at $400 an hour, and we have an associate billing at $200 an hour. Uh, they might choose to go with a blended hourly rate for the two of them to make it easy and uniform for the client, so it doesn't matter that they have to figure out which attorney is doing what work, why is one attorney doing work and not the other. So they go with a blended hourly rate of $250, $300. Um, and the goal is, of course, to have the associate uh, do most of the work. That would be the benefit to the office. But if the managing partner has to do more, then the discount works to the favor of the client. But of course, the general overall process or choice of this matter is a benefit to both parties to a certain extent. And then we have the activity hourly rate. Here, we're not looking at the amount of time, we're looking at the task performed as well. So if we're doing research, our research rate is going to be $100 an hour for an attorney. If it's a paralegal, it may be a lesser rate. So we do look at the individual and the activity to figure out what the rate is, not just who's doing the work. If we're talking about an attorney going to a hearing, that rate could be $200 an hour. So we're looking at the activity primarily, and then the individual who's performing it to figure out what is being billed for that task for that individual. So there's a lot of different ways we can do hourly billing rates, and these are the four primary ones that are discussed in the chapter. So now that we have an understanding of that, now we also have to realize that we have to record our time in order to make this process work. For those of you in the class who are working in the legal field or have worked in the legal field, you know what a timesheet looks like. This is just a sample to give us an idea of what we need to collect when we are working on a file, whether it's an attorney or a paralegal. The first column obviously is the date on which you're completing the work. The second column is the client's name or the case name. So we would want to identify it in that fashion. In most offices, there's also a specific file number, so that's in the third column. The most detailed column should be the next one, services performed. We have brief explanations here right now. The next few slides will help us to come up with a better understanding of what should go in that column. Some offices may want the responsible attorney, supervising attorney listed in the next column. And then the final column is the amount of time. And as you can see, we record it in hours and tenths of an hour. So the first item to Albert versus Smith is 1 hour, 1.6 hours, or an hour and 36 minutes. If we're talking about tenths of an hour, you divide the 60 minutes up into 10 pieces, 6-minute increments. So 1.1 would be an hour and 6 minutes. 1.2 would be an hour and 12, and so forth. So that's how we want to record the final column, not an hour and 12 minutes. You would write 1.1, or in this case, 1.6 for the first entry. 2 full hours, easy to record. If it's less than an hour, zero point 0.6, again, 36 minutes. Or roughly that, that would be zero point 0.6. You can also talk to your supervising attorney about how you either round up or round down when putting things into tenths of an hour. Now we want to focus a little bit of attention on that description column. So we want to make sure that we're always drafting clear and accurate descriptions. It serves two important purposes. First, it will limit the concerns or challenges that we receive back from the client, because those descriptions will be placed on the bill to the client. And if they can't understand why it took 2 hours to complete that task, we're going to get a phone call and the attorney will have to address it. So we want to limit their concerns and inquiries. And additionally, it's going to also limit the amount of time the attorney will have to proofread and prepare the bills if we're providing an appropriate level of detail. It's always easy to edit things out. It's always hard to add things in when it's missing. And if it's been several days, weeks since we actually did the work, those details may not be easy to fill in. We shouldn't be trying to make things up later on down the road. So we need to be accurate while we're doing the tasks. We should have a standard approach to writing the descriptions, identify the task or activity and the reason, if others were involved, attended hearing on a certain topic with so-and-so. We can be very precise with those details. Start with an active verb, attend deposition, prepare deposition digest, and so forth. Be consistent. We generally should be using the present tense and just make sure that each entry is presented in the same fashion. The office may have some standards to follow, so you should always be looking to their guidance and following their directions on those types of elements of style or how they want things written. We should also include individuals and their roles where relevant, identifying the particular witness or client that we were speaking to, in addition to their full name. If we're incorporating other people in the office into the description, you need to again check probably with your supervising attorney. Some firms may have policies against referencing other personnel in your description. As always, we should be talking to the supervising attorney about these particular details. This will come with practice and time. We also want to elaborate. So instead of simply saying reviewed documents, we can be very more detailed and precise. Reviewed documents including, and list the documents. The more documents we needed to review and evaluate, that will justify the greater amount of time. And we should also be specific with what we're doing and why, explaining that it's in preparation for a hearing for motion on summary judgment or a deposition or trial. The reason why we're doing it also can be very important and can justify the amount of time. As the final item indicates, the length of the description should reflect how much time we put into it, and therefore why it is that amount is being billed to the client. So if we're billing 2 or 3 hours, then the description should be robust enough to justify that time. We shouldn't be using any abbreviations. We should always spell everything out, whether we're dealing with agency names or entity names or any other kind of acronym. We want to make sure that we spell it out first. In terms of terminology, again, this is probably something I would defer to the office to find out how they prefer you refer to memorandum or memo, facsimile versus fax. We shouldn't abbreviate, but some offices may have very specific terminology they'd like you to use. So always defer to those recommendations. So I think we covered some really important topics about hourly billing rates and the process itself. If you have any further questions about the course materials, contact your instructor.